This might be an update video for my YouTube, so if I'm going to make this segment to bring over anywhere, it's going to be presented so that anybody can know that what I want to put out is the reason that I'm making sure that I'm remaining outspoken and very forward to my audience in any way that I preferred from the beginning. So it's just how it's going to be. Based on the time I've taken to make an upload rate was all based on the consistency of how much I felt like I was going to place forward in putting out uploads because of the rate I wanted to take them at. But something came over me recently that was out of my hands, out of my control, and I needed like medical assistance. So something that became very concerning while getting in my last stretch of college finals was something that I want to relay to all of you just because it not only helps me feel like I'm doing everyone a favor, it also helps me find out that while I'm updating you guys on what I was doing while I was away, I get to tell people about what I learned from and what I give out in advice because that's always something I want to do and I feel like it's the best thing to do for laying things out to my audience, of course. The first thing to mention about that is the concern about what I caught and what it brings over to what I update you about. The most major update was what happened to me. So I was just taking care of myself with hygiene and hygienic products normally as I always did. But I decided to try out switching up my deodorant. The thing about that is we all have different reactions on our skin and our bodies remain consistent when we actually keep on like routine things of like products that we're probably used to. And as long as you're probably not making drastic changes, then everything feels normal to you, especially like in things not feeling irregular. Things started feeling irregular to me after I used this deodorant. And the thing is, I had a few switch ups from time to time, as anyone would probably do with deodorant. I used to just stick to the Arm& Hammer deodorant because it's something that I just think was fine for the time. But of course, I started thinking, oh, this doesn't have enough variety in different fragrances and types that it has. And so I thought maybe I should look for a deodorant that has different styles and fragrances and just try that one just to be able to switch it up from time to time because I always felt like I need to like, switch it up sometimes. That's how we are with like switching up the scent that we get. So I tried Native. It's I think it's usually a Walmart brand. Native is something that some people say works, some people say it doesn't work for you. That wasn't the problem. Native was just something I used in between both of these. So I felt like once I started learning that people say that Native isn't working for you, I thought, okay, if Native isn't that effective, I'll switch it up again. And then I decided to switch up what I used to trying out the Dove deodorant. And the Dove deodorant I did try out was an antiperspirant with aluminum. And what happened was that my thought process was that I needed to consistently stay on an antiperspirant, mainly because I didn't know too much about skincare. But my mom said that for guys, antiperspirant is one of the better things to like always go for, because antiperspirant is something that, to my knowledge, blocks out sweat or doesn't prevents it from consistently coming out. But I think something happened, some sort of chemical reaction, something happened for me to get into some details that would be a little bit gross to mention, but it's part of the update. I decided to just try out this Dove deodorant, and then I started having these on and off feelings of like cyst feelings of irregular small like pains in each armpit sometimes. So sometimes when I be using deodorant, it's just like last few months, even probably when using the Native, I would have these moments of cysts like popping up. They're tiny, but the thing about getting cysts in your armpits is that you move your arm around and you're supposed to rest your arm, of course, right here. But because of what happened, I wasn't able to always rest my arm the greatest way, especially if these cysts formed in any size they form. They're different on how they treat you. These cysts weren't bad because they would go away on their own, but they were just it's just a problem with them popping up here and there. I then started getting something going really wrong when it came to what happened after using this Dove deodorant. I got what looked like it was a cyst forming, and that was something that was forming. I was trying to care for it, but at the same time, I didn't want to draw attention to getting myself help too much because I felt like I shouldn't put that on my family while I'm also in the stretch of getting through finals. I just didn't want a lot of things being handled even greater. I was so thoughtful about my family that I thought I didn't have to make myself draw concern if I could just make sure that I could get this handled in a reasonable time, that it was kind of forming and becoming larger than usual in that area. So it was only on this armpit. The other thing about this was that I tried using these solutions of like small things. Like I used the Boil Ease ointment, which says on its own description that you're only supposed to use it for about like 3 days to treat something, and if the thing that you apply to does not get treated or lowered within those 3 days, you're supposed to get medical attention and use something greater and stronger than that is. And the thing is, that's what I followed, and I tried to see what I could do. But as the days went on, this formality just started becoming like a little bit larger, and it started hindering my movement of my arm. It started hindering where I rest my arm, and then it started giving me pain. And then I was thinking, man, this is getting crazier, and I don't know how I'm gonna get this checked on when it does get checked on. My family had to make a few adjustments to making a schedule where I had to wait it out for a few more days longer just to get it checked out. And in the meantime, I had to make sure I just hoped and prayed that this thing would not get larger. This thing did eventually get a little bit larger, and then just slowly but surely started growing as that was happening. I had to get an ultrasound done on it when it got really bad. It got into a time where I guess it had a little bit of like oozing, and then I had to get checked out for an emergency visit. It appeared it was an abscess, and I never heard that before until that time when I got checked. An abscess is different from a cyst. It's different from anything else that, you think is common to form there. And the thing is, I think the main thing was, of course, the source was the deodorant. It had a different um, use of ingredients. Plus, it was an antiperspirant, and I'm not sure my body is meant to handle that all the time, especially with how it comes to what you do where you're supposed to sweat and you don't know if that's good for you or not. You have to check how your body reacts to something sometimes. Maybe it's sometimes an experiment, but that's how it is for me sometimes. And um, that was the problem. And then I realized it has to be treated differently, and it has to be considerably taken care of. I had to get that thing treated with an incision, and the incision had to make everything come out of it. And now I am recovering from it with no pain now. Everything's fine, but there's just a scar and a bump there. I just gotta hope that bump goes down, and I gotta hope that that scar is not gonna stay from the incision that was made. The only thing about it is that this whole problem was like not really something that I could say is unavoidable, because it's one of those things where I don't blame myself and I don't blame what I did. I just blame the fact that you gotta find out what you're really used to, or like how your body reacts, especially to hygienic stuff. You never know, you're gonna have allergic reactions and other things, and I'm just gonna make sure that I tell you guys to watch yourselves and definitely take care of yourselves, because this was in a time where I felt I was undeserving to get it put upon me, because I was in a place where I needed to make sure I was focusing on something that was actually gonna get done. College finals made a lot of sense for me to feel like it was the wrong time for anything, anything problematic to be put upon me. So that was tough for me, and it was a thing that I learned from because it's very sad that you gotta learn first how you're gonna see this get placed upon you, and then you gotta find out how it's gonna affect you for what you're used to, what you can handle, and maybe you're gonna learn from a doctor's visit that it might have been something like an allergic reaction and that you gotta be considerate about yourself. And now I am back to using my Arm& Hammer deodorant, and maybe that's the only one I'm gonna use for life. I never know. Um, you never know what you're used to or what you stick to, and if some people question what you use or what's your usual for a product, you don't have to tell them that they have to judge anything about you as long as everybody respects that they stick to what they stick to. If they want to, treat you differently for what you apply to yourself, what you use for yourself, and any products, anything, that's something that you can mention for yourself is, like making sure it's not going to bother you or just not have to listen to anybody. So I just want to let you guys know that in any time away I take, especially from editing and anything else that was consistent, that I had a halt because of the pain and everything else that I caught in needing to get treatment for on this whole problem. It's something that's definitely gonna halt me where I know it's for the best to step away. And I know it's for the best to not have to announce anything and just take time to myself and take a break and just, if you feel like touching back on it, once you're back in the game, then you can do so. But that's something I felt was something I had to let out to you guys because it's something I learned. And something I learned that is not just in what you're worried about eating or what you're worried about really like checking for ingredients in food. You have to also check in things you apply to the rest of your body. Not just what goes into your body, what goes on your body, what's going around you. And I just want to make sure you guys are listening to what I have to learn from that and how it halted my original plans for trying to keep a consistent basis, which was different for me in the time that it came. So I'm just glad that I'm letting you all know. Take care of yourselves, and that's everything that I feel like letting you all in on because it's something that I want to really make sure is touched on for what you guys deserve to hear out of me. But more content's on the way, and trust me, I am going to definitely deliver for you guys. ACN, we up.